Um, Today we are going to talk about the nursery and how we can serve in the nursery. I see a lot of familiar faces. Some college girls are in here, and then some of you are visiting, and it's good to see you and have you in here. I hope that I can be a blessing to you. Serving in the nursery is not for show. Most of you know that. You get spit up on, you get children bite you, kick you, hit you. Parents don't appreciate you most of the time. It's definitely something that you do out of a heart for God. And the Bible says in Ephesians 6:6, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart. You have to love children to be in the nursery. I know we encourage we encourage all of our moms to participate in the nursery. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to staff all the children that we have. I think our largest Sunday crowd that we had was 300 on Easter Sunday. So we had to have a lot of help, and we enlist all of our moms. But I'll go over that in a little bit. But serving is an attitude of service, is motivated by a humble heart to truly serve another without expectations of reward or personal gain. And that's something, you want to be appreciated for what you do. That's our human nature, is to be appreciated. And we have to remind ourselves that this is for the Lord. I can't do the nursery for my husband or my family or for my pastor, as much as I love him and support his ministry. I cannot do it for anyone but for the Lord, because only he knows how he can encourage me. It's very tiresome. I was just speaking to this lady here. It's very tiresome when your workers don't show up or they don't come to church because they know it's their nursery time. So it's something that you definitely need to do out of a heart for God. I have just a few things, and it looks like there's a lot, but I have a few things that I've put together that hopefully will help you. Some of you aren't nursery directors or aren't in charge of the nursery, but maybe eventually some of you college girls might be one day, and hopefully this will be a help to you. The first thing is that you need to identify and address the specific needs. The first thing that we need are our staff. And one important thing is not just to get someone to come in and work and be a person in the nursery, because we try to keep it well staffed. If we have babies, we try to keep it a worker for 2 babies. And as they get a little bit older, we have fewer workers for more children, just because they need less attention. But we can't just throw someone in who's never been with a newborn, or we can't throw even a college girl in who doesn't know our policies and procedures. So we have training that we do, and we want you need to train them. And the training is constant. You might have a problem that arises, or someone didn't follow your protocol. Those things will happen, but you just need training. And sometimes it's in a group setting, and sometimes it's a one-on-one. The other thing that we have, besides our workers, just our normal workers, we have room leaders. Here we have 14 rooms that from 0 to 4 months all the way to kindergarten is what our preschool ministry and nursery consists of. So we have a room leader, which helps me to call all the workers, so I don't have to call 70 workers for one service. So the room leader has her schedule, and she has her normal people who are working, and she will call them. If they have a problem or they can't show up, instead of calling me, they'll call the room leader. And even if you have a small ministry, it's a good idea to have a room leader, just so it takes a lot of the pressure off of you as a nursery director. And then we also have monthly workers who just work once a month. We have workers who are bi-monthly, who will work every other week. And then we have workers, and it's a really good idea to have, is a worker who is there every, say, Sunday school service or every Sunday morning service. And it's really, especially Sunday mornings, it's very good to have that, because you have people who come in and they like to see a familiar face. The children like to see a familiar face. And so it makes it a lot easier for parents to drop off their children if they recognize you and know that you know my child's name, you know what she likes, you know she likes this blankie or the swing, or she doesn't like the swing. You get my point. So it's good to have somebody in there once every service. We don't have that, but especially on Sunday mornings, we do. Every Sunday morning, the same people are in there. And they're a real encouragement to me because it helps me to know that classroom's being taken care of. One thing that we have done is with our reminders that has really helped. I don't know, most of you probably have a Facebook. My husband would probably never have a Facebook. I have a Facebook, and it really helps. I made my own group, and it's just for nursery workers, and it's private, so that all of my friends that I grew up with and went to college with don't see me begging for workers. I did it before and just put it on, but I thought, I should put a group together. And so it's really good, and they can communicate on there. They can go on and just say, I'm not going to be here this Sunday or whatever, but it's very easy to just set up a group, and Facebook is free. I know it's kind of a pain sometimes to actually get on Facebook, but I post our weekly schedule. Every week I'll post the following week, and it'll tell who's scheduled on what day. And then I'm very thankful for cell phones because we can text now, and a lot of these college girls will know that I text them all the time and remind them that they're working. The next thing that we need to think about are the rooms. Are your rooms clean? Are there appropriate toys in the room? Do you need a special room for nursing moms? We have a room for nursing moms. If you have the last church that we were in didn't have a nursing mom's room, which it was a little uncomfortable, but it's just something that I know if you have the means to have it. But that's something to think about. If you have that space, could you have, or a little corner that you could block off for a nursing mom? We really strive to enlist volunteers. I cannot do all of this by myself. It is a huge task, and so we have volunteers. I have a group of ladies that comes in on Tuesdays to clean our nurseries, to deep clean. Every Tuesday we get together. We take turns watching children because everyone who comes has children. So we take turns watching children. We take turns bringing in a snack. So it's a time of fellowship, but it's also a time of working together. And there's something special about working together with your friends. Some of these people that have started in the Tuesday morning cleaning, I didn't even know. And now they're some of the best friends that I have because we just work together and we've gotten to know one another. We also have cleaning charts that we put up in each room. And it just helps for the worker. As soon as they're done and their children are picked up, they'll go through the cleaning chart, and it's very basic, but it saves me a lot of time. It probably takes the workers 5 to 10 minutes to clean, and if I had to do it, it'd take me hours because that's 14 rooms. So it helps that as well. And then the next thing that we need for specific needs is children. Of course, we have to have children to have a nursery. And by that, I mean we need to try and keep the children in the nursery. I don't mean just make sure that their parents don't come pick them up halfway through the service, but don't give a parent a reason, excuse me, to not bring their children back. We strive to tell the parents when they come and pick up, your child was great, even if they had a bad little time. I mean, it's different if they're biting 20 times in one service. You're going to have to address that. But if they've had a bad day, even if you say, well, they had a bad day, but they ended up doing great, they got over it, you just need to be very encouraging. And we also do everything that we can before we page a parent out. We don't want them to not be in the service. That's why we have a nursery, so that the parents can be in the service and hear God's word preached. So we do our best to keep the children in the nursery and not to page a parent out unless they're absolutely needed. Now, if they're hungry and the mom needs to come and nurse, that's totally different. But if they're just fussy because they're tired, we may take them in the hallway and stroll them in a stroller, or just do what we can, try different things. And then the next thing is our policies and procedures. Every church has different policies and procedures. I'm not going to go over specific policies and procedures that we have, but some of the things that you need to think about as you put one together. And if you don't have one, I strongly suggest you to put together policies and procedures. You may have a rule or want to enforce a rule that no parent comes into the room. That will keep the children safe. It'll keep them less likely to be upset when the parent drops them off. And then you also want to think about security. Who can pick up the child? Who can take the child home, you need to be very careful about who comes. And in this day and age, it's very scary. Anyone can come in and pretend to be, and it could even be with broken homes. It could be the dad who doesn't have custody, and the child recognizes the dad, and you let them go, and then you're in a big bind because you weren't supposed to. So you need to have some type of policies and procedures so that you know that your children in there are safe. And another thing that we want to make sure is that there's healthy nursery. This is kind of a sticky subject because parents will say, oh, it's allergies, which we have terrible allergies here, as most of you know. But if they have had a fever and it hasn't been 24 hours without Tylenol, they shouldn't be in the nursery. If their nose is green, they probably shouldn't be in the nursery. Just certain things that you need to be very careful, especially in the flu season, in the fall and winter. We get really bad diseases in the nursery, and it's not necessarily because the nursery's not clean, but parents come and drop them off thinking they're okay, and they end up being very sick. So we need to be careful with that. We also need to be aware of men working in the nursery. We do allow men to work in the nursery. They have to be with their wife, and they may never change a child's diaper or take a child to the bathroom. That's for their safety. We want to be above reproach. We don't want anyone to be able to say, this happened when he took my son to the nurse or to the bathroom or whatever. So we only allow ladies to take children to the bathroom and to change diapers. The next thing is that we need to encourage. We need to encourage our workers. You may have rules that certain people aren't following. You need to encourage them. You don't have to be ugly about it. You just be sweet and remind them that this is how we do it. We also need to encourage our workers to be there on time. This is something that's difficult, I think, in any ministry. It's difficult for me to get here on time all the time. But you need to set, as a nursery leader, you need to set the example. If you want them here by 9 o'clock and your service starts at 9:30, you need to get there at 9 o'clock or 5 minutes before. And I know that, I have young children. I know that it's difficult to get there on time. So be forgiving, but encourage. Don't get onto them, encourage. When you encourage and edify them, they accept it a lot better than if you weren't here on time, what's going on? So just be careful about that, but encourage them to do that. I do not ask a worker to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. Yesterday, I cleaned up throw up, and it was so fun. And I was so happy when I was doing it. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I will get down there and do it. I don't expect my workers to do something that I wouldn't do, and I let them see that. I'm not above anyone. I will clean the toilets. I do clean the toilets. So just make sure that you're an example, but that you're encouraging. Another thing is to thank your workers. You will go unappreciated. Our workers, as a leader, your workers don't have to go unappreciated. I might be the only one saying thank you. The parent might not be thankful, but as the nursery director, I can make sure that my workers are appreciated. You can do something special. During these meetings that we have, it's very long. The service is long. You all know that because you've sat in the service. We have babies in the nursery for 3.5 hours. And I have workers taking care of them, and it's just a long night. We provide a special baked good for them and water just so that they have something to look forward to in that night. And it just encourages them, and it makes them feel appreciated and that we're thankful for them. If someone does not feel appreciated, they tend to get discouraged. Sometimes I'll get discouraged because I don't feel appreciated, and that's when I have to check myself and say, I'm doing this for the Lord. But we need to make sure that we encourage our workers to be positive as well. Nursery is a place where people can talk because children, don't understand what you're saying. Let's make sure, and I do my best to make sure that we are not gossiping. It's easy to do, but we need to guard our tongues, and we need to be an example in that area, that we are just, if it's something negative, let's just not talk about it. Let's talk about something positive. And that's all you have to say. And they might get upset for a minute, but we need to make sure that we are keeping our tongues positive in the nursery especially. The next thing we need to do is encourage our parents. Some of those policies and procedures that I was talking about, you need to make sure that you enforce them. There's no point to have them if you're not going to enforce them. Some people may not like them. I had someone who told me I need to check my policies and procedures, and you just smile and say, I'll look into it and thank you for your concern or whatever. But we need to make sure that we do enforce them. Enforce the healthy nursery. Enforce your security. We also do, I forgot to say this, but in our policies and procedures, we also do background checks on every single person who is new in the nursery. We want to make sure that there's not anything that would be questionable of people working in our nursery. So you need to make sure that you follow through with the rules. And then we need to encourage new moms. Some of you aren't moms yet, so you won't understand until you are a mom. But it is hard to be a mom, and a new mom especially. You don't know what to expect. You don't, everyone's comparing. At least you think that. Everyone's going to compare my baby to somebody else's baby. I want my baby to be the smartest, the cutest, the most intelligent baby. And it's very hard to be a mom, especially in this day and age when media has made it so everything, you compare for everything. And so I do my best to encourage new moms. I give out a letter when they're expecting with my information, contact information, so that they can contact me if they ever have a question. I have a couple of books that I recommend for pregnancy and for the first year. And then we have hospital visits as soon as the baby's born. We take a basket from Pastor Miss Sexton, and I deliver it or have a staff member deliver it to the hospital as soon as the baby's born. And it's just a little gift with Pastor's book in it and a blanket. And it just shows the mom that we love them and we care about them. And that's with the basket. And then after that, when they come home, we make sure that they get some meals. It's hard to have to get up every 2 hours in the middle of the night and feed your baby and then, be able to clean your house and get meals together for your husband. So we make sure that we provide meals. Typically, we do 3 meals for a natural delivery. If it's a C-section, we do at least 5. And then there are some times that we do more. If I feel like maybe they're going through a really hard time or they may have postpartum depression or something like that, we'll do more. And I also offer help. If I know that someone's struggling, I may not be able to go to their house and sit with them or help clean their house, but I'll find someone who's willing to do that so that they're encouraged. And then quarterly, we have a new mom fellowship. And this is just a time for new moms to get together. Their children are going to be in the nursery all the time together. And so we have a new moms fellowship that we just have at the church. We have hors d'oeuvres and, of course, sweets and coffee and drinks. But we just get together and they get to know one another. We have a little devotion, and I just encourage them to not get discouraged. And if they have any questions or, it's just a good time for them to get away from the house. Some of them bring their babies. Some of them have their husbands watch the babies. But we just get together and have a good time, and it's just encouraging and uplifting for them. And then we can encourage the children. We have children all the time that come in, and I love it because they come in and they hug my leg and, "Hi, Miss Michelle," and it's so encouraging to me and rewarding. But we can encourage them by greeting them by name. I know that we have a lot of children, and I know I mess up people's names all the time, and I try my best to know their names. But if I remember their name, or even if I don't, I'll say, "I love your dress," or "Look at how handsome you look," and it just makes them feel like they're loved and they're recognized, and that makes a big difference. And parents notice that too. If you are uplifting to their child, that's the best reward for a mom, is when somebody says something to your child and treats them with kindness. And so that's always encouraging to a parent as well, but to the child. And then the next thing is to respond. Of course, we know that problems will arise. We are all sinners. We may be Christians, but we are all sinners. And someone may have a bad day, and they may be upset. Something may happen, or a child may get hurt in the nursery, and they may get upset. All these things will happen eventually. But we need to make sure that we respond correctly. I do not make my workers deal with that. I always let them divert it to me. So don't, because you want your workers to be there and be happy that they're there. So make sure that you, as a nursery leader, take care of those problems. Don't make your room leader do it. Don't make a nursery worker do it. Just tell them if there's a problem, you have them come talk to me. And that way you know what's being said, because ultimately I have to answer to God and to pastor. So you know what's being said, and you can take care of it. And of course we know that we need to respond with a soft answer. And sometimes that's hard to do, but when we are walking with the Lord, he helps us. And if you will be sure to resolve any problems, you have to do it in the right attitude. Don't be offended. You have to think they have had a bad day, or this is their precious treasure, and this happened, and so sure, they're upset. You need to do everything that you can to calm them down and make them happy. And I just encourage them and tell them if it's they got hurt, I'm sorry, we're going to work at this. And if they need to move to the next room, maybe they're too big and the little kids, the other little children in there are, or maybe he's the problem because he's too big in the room. Move him up. We're not stuck on this is the 19 to 24 month room, or this is only younger twos. We're very flexible, and so work with the parent on that. But also do what you say you're going to do. There's nothing more discouraging than someone telling you, I'm going to be right on that. I'll take care of it. And I must confess, I have done that. I'll say, I'll take care of it. And then you forget, and then you're in trouble because you forgot, and they come and ask you, did you ever find out? So be sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And then the next thing is visit. We need to make sure that we visit all of our visitors. A visit shows someone that you care. So if I have someone who rides the bus and they have a child in the nursery or preschool, either my room leader will visit, or one of their workers, or I will visit. We have a ladies' visitation that we have together on Wednesday mornings that we'll do visits as well. And that just shows that the parents, that we care and that we notice them, and they're just not another number. We're not about numbers. We're about making sure that people know that we care and that we love them and that we're there to help them. And then, of course, I told you that we visit the new moms. We make sure that they're being cared for. And then we need to visit those who have not attended regularly. And that's something that's easy to forget, because you've had, I know that I have people from Easter Sunday who are regulars who were not there. They maybe were out of town, or were at an Easter egg hunt. I don't know, but I need to make sure that I get with them and just say, where were you? Or even a phone call or an email shows them that they care and that they're important. We have people who are tempted to leave the church because they think, this church is so big, and if we can do our job as a preschool ministry and make sure that they know that we notice when they're gone, we notice when their child is sick. I might know that so-and-so's not here because they're sick. Well, I'm going to give them a call and just say, I'm sorry we missed you. I hope they're feeling better, and pray with them over the phone. So we need to make sure that we're doing our part to visit those that are visiting, new moms, and then those who are just not attending. And then the last point is enjoy. Serving God is fun. It can be, this week is long. It can be discouraging. And if we don't have the right attitude, you're not going to have fun. And so you just need to take things as they come and just enjoy the time that you have. I love children. I love babies. And I guess the Lord gave me that heart since I'm in this ministry. But we just need to enjoy serving God with others. And by serving God, like I said before, you will have I think God will give you a greater love for the ministry and give a greater love for children. And as you work together, he gives you a love for people. A lot of our room leaders, they don't just say, hi, how are you? And take care of their babies. They are praying for the children that are in the room and praying for their families. And that's one thing that I will do, is just go down my role and just, if I know someone's going through a hard time, I'll make sure that I pray for them and let them know that I'm praying for them. But serving God is fun. And one thing that I am still learning, and Pastor is helping me, is to not neglect your family. Nursery is my life, and it shouldn't be my life. And I'm learning how to balance all of that. And really, in any aspect of ministry, it should not be your life. Your family is your life, and God is your life. You should have God first, and when God is first, he will give you and enable you to be the right mom or the right dad or the right nursery director or the right worker or the right pastor's wife. So when we have the right walk with God, he'll enable us to do the things that we need to do. But don't neglect your family. And I found, for me, the best way to do that is to plan, because we're so busy, and I have children in the academy, and I still have one at home, and my husband works, and these are all things that you all are going to have to deal with. And it just helps if we plan special time for our families that we can, it might just be going to the park and kicking the soccer ball around, or, letting them ride their bikes, but doing stuff together as a family. I know my daughter sometimes, she'll say, something about the nursery and how that's all I think about. And not that that's necessarily wrong, because that's what God has given me to do. But at the same time, I need to make sure I'm taking time away from nursery, put it aside. I sometimes have to turn my phone off and say, if someone calls, I'm just going to have to answer it tomorrow, or, whatever, if it's in 4 hours or whatever. So you just need to be sure that you take time aside from the nursery and from planning and scheduling of the nursery. We need to make sure that we're not offended if someone wants to help us. I know I like to do things my way, and I think my way is the right way, and sometimes it's hard for me to let go, but people want to help you. And a lot of times you just need to look around and ask, and sometimes you have to ask, sometimes people come up to you, but if someone gives you an idea, you don't have to necessarily use it, but thank them. That means that they have a heart for that ministry. They're not trying to boss you around. Trust me, nobody wants your job. So you just need to be sure that you, if someone has an idea, just take it, and it might be a great idea, it might not, and you can just tell them, thank you for thinking of this ministry. But we need to show God's love, and I think by doing these things, like encouraging our families, calling the children by name, even calling the parents by name when you see them and ask them how they're doing, that shows God's love to them, because it shows that they're important. And then the last thing before I go over the few attachments is that our attitude determines how far we're going to go. If I have a bad attitude, it's going to be a bad day. Not that I've always had a good attitude, or I have to check my attitude, but we need to be sure that our attitude is pleasing to the Lord. I had, when I worked in the nursery, I was the room leader of the 7 to 9 month room, and I think I had maybe 15 babies, and it was just myself and a friend of mine in there, and it was crazy. They were all crying, they all wanted their moms, they were all tired, and it was just crazy, and it ended up being fine by the time the parents came. But one of the moms said, well, you'll get a crown in heaven. And I said, I don't think I'm going to be getting a crown in heaven, because I've done nothing but complain. So make sure that you're not complaining and that you're having a sweet spirit, and just serve God from your heart. The few attachments that I have are just examples. I've had several people ask me how we manage this many children. The first thing is our pager list. We have a pager list that we put together. Of course, I didn't put any names or phone numbers here, but as they check in, we have already the parent's name and the child's name, or the children that are in the preschool and nursery. And then if they have a cell phone, that's typically how we contact the parents, since most people have a cell phone, is by texting them or calling them. But you may have a visitor who doesn't have a phone, or maybe they forgot their phone. And so you can put the pager number if you have a pager that vibrates. You can do that. But this is just what we've put together that may help you or give you a good idea. And then the next thing is our snack time. We do all of our snacks by the parents providing the snack. We typically don't ever have to buy snack. And it's really just a blessing that we can save God's money and have them bring snack. And they can bring a snack that their child likes, and everyone's happy. We do encourage no peanuts because we have many children who have peanut allergies. If a child has an allergy that is not peanut, we encourage them to bring their own snack. They may be allergic to wheat or gluten or even milk, and so we encourage them to bring their own snack. And then the next couple are just our sign-in sheets, just to give you an idea of how we sign in our children. And most of this is our ideas of my workers who have added different things like when your child was last fed or if they like to sleep on their back or tummy. So our workers have helped me to put this together. And then the last thing is, actually I have two last things, but the next thing is the monthly schedule. This is on a greater scale, but this is what our schedule looks like. I have week 1, so it may be, we work on a 4-week rotation. So it may be week 1 in Sunday school is always Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Hannah Jones. So they would always be on Sunday school week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. But then we've got the different people who would serve, and I just add, and sometimes I don't have a full room of workers, so I'll just put a blank or a question mark so that I know and can look ahead and say I need to find somebody who will take their place or be in there in that point. So we do a 4-week rotation, so you would have, this is week 1, week 2, and then you'd have week 3, week 4, and typically it's the same people every week. So if they're on week 1, they're always week 1 unless they're on vacation and they'll switch with someone. So I really don't move my schedule around unless someone's out of town. But I keep this schedule just like this. And like I said, we encourage all of our moms, strongly encourage all of our moms to help. So if you have 100 families with children in the nursery, I should have 100 workers. They may not work every week. They may only work once a month, but that enables us to have enough workers for our children. And then this is what I put together for each room leader, and this is their schedule that I give the room leader. They post it in their room, most of them, so that the workers can come in at any time and look at when they're scheduled, and they can also be reminded or switch with somebody. So these are just a few things that have helped us to stay organized. It's always a work in progress, I think, keeping organized with all of this. But God has given us a great work to do, and we just have some wonderful families in our church that I'm so thankful that I can be a part of. And I hope that this has helped you and that you can take some of this with you wherever you go. If you're visiting from out of town, or if some of you college girls end up, I'm sure, working in the nursery or maybe even being the nursery director, that this would help you, and that we just need to make sure that God gets all the glory. I don't know if some of you were in here in the preaching with David Gibbs. I wasn't actually in there, but a friend told me about it, and he was talking about being a servant and how that we need to give God all of the glory. We shouldn't, and that verse that I have about Ephesians 6, that we're not doing it for people to notice. I'm not doing it so pastor can pat me on the back. I'm not doing it for the moms to say, oh, you're so wonderful. That doesn't happen. So we need to make sure that we're doing this for the Lord and that he gets all of the glory. And when we do give God the glory, it just makes our ministry work and work the way it's supposed to. So I hope that I've been a blessing to you, and I'm going to pray. And if you all have any questions, I'll be at the back door or up here or whatever, and you can feel free to ask me if you have any questions. I also put, I believe I put on your paper on the front page my email address, and if you ever have any questions or if you ever need me to answer anything, I'm willing to help you in any way possible. And I'm thankful that you all are here, and we'll go ahead and pray and dismiss. Thank you so much. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for these people who are here, and I thank you for the opportunity that I had to speak. Lord, I pray that you would help them to be able to use it in some way, and I pray that you would bless the nursery and help people to realize how important the nursery and preschool is, and that we have such a great opportunity to serve these parents and to serve these children, Lord. And I pray that you would just bless us the rest of this day. Thank you for this wonderful meeting that you've allowed us to be a part of. And I pray that as we go home and serve in our churches, that you would be honored and glorified through all these things that we've learned. In Jesus' name, amen.